I want to begin with a little parable. There was a great valley, and it stood by a village that was built by many hands. For generations, the people had survived storms and droughts and all types of hardships because they worked together. But over time, the village grew larger and larger, and all types of different neighborhoods and cliques started to form within the village. You had the garden circle. They cared deeply about food justice and farming and making sure we had healthy and clean food. You had the school builders who focused on political education, African-centered schools, making sure that we were educating children. You had the safety watch. They organized against violence and protecting the village. And then you had the cultural keepers. They preserved our history, our art. They cultivated pride in who we are and where we come from. And each one of those groups did great and very important work. But as the years passed, family, these groups that were formerly united began to drift apart. The garden circle started complaining. The school builders don't respect our struggle. They say all we do is plant food, and that's not important. The school builders said them cultural keepers, they talk too much and they do too little actually boot on the ground work. All they do is run their mouth and wear African stuff and talk African languages. The safety watch argued nobody understands what we deal with in the streets. Y'all talking all that ideological academic stuff. If you're not teaching people how to use weaponry and protect themselves, that's not even important. And the cultural keepers, well, they insisted, listen, man, we hear y'all, but without culture, without having your views, values, and priorities straight, none of what y'all talking about even matters. So the meetings over time became tense. Old friendships and friends started to fray. People spent most of their energy proving or trying to prove their own importance rather than protecting and advancing the village as a whole. And then one season, rumors started to circulate that a powerful land company planned to take over the entire valley and destroy anything and anyone in its way. They intended to take people's homes, close the schools, fence off the gardens, turn this land into a private estate with very posh and expensive condos they would rent out to rich folk. Now, a few elders saw what was coming and they did their best to warn the village. This threat is bigger than any single issue we have, they said. If we don't unite, we're going to lose everything fighting amongst ourselves, and we'll be unprepared to fight against this external threat. But the groups were too wrapped up in their separate missions. The garden circle said, man, right now we're focusing on this harvest. We're trying to get our harvest together. The school builders said, well, we can't worry about that. We got our own battles. We're trying to get our curriculum straight. We're trying to make sure that we can get this tuition and pay our staff and get these kids right. We can't worry about that right now. The safety watch, they said, listen, that's not our lane. We don't do all that. We here to protect the people against physical threats. And the cultural keepers, well, they insisted everything is about our views and values, man. All that stuff y'all talking about, we don't know our original language. We don't know our original names. We wearing their clothes. We following their holidays. We'll deal with that political stuff later. Each group believed that as long as their small bubble survived, the rest of the crisis didn't really matter. And then the unfortunate day came when the bulldozers that those elders had been trying to warn the village members about arrived. And those bulldozers didn't just plow over the gardens. They didn't just demolish the school buildings, the cultural center, or the homes. They took everything. This outside force swallowed up and devoured everything in the village all at once. So in the aftermath, the people finally gathered and met, angry, confused, and brokenhearted. One elder spoke through tears running down her face, trembling as she spoke, and she said, "We've been arguing over rooms in a house that was set on fire. We treated our small disagreements that could have been worked out like major wars. And in doing that, we ignored a huge war against all of us and treated it like it was incidental and not important. Well, you know the moral of the story, family. When a common danger or enemy threatens our entire community, organizing in our isolated bubbles becomes its own form of surrender.